At 11:42 p.m., the night before my sister's $50,000 wedding, my phone lit up with a text from her. "You're out. Only real family belongs." She didn't even send it to me directly. She dropped it into the bridal group chat. 11 people, bridesmaids, my mom, a cousin who cries at commercials. All of them saw it at the same time. 3 dots popped up. Then my mother replied with a heart emoji. Just a heart, no question, no hesitation. No, what do you mean, nothing? I stared at the screen for a full 10 seconds, maybe more. Time does that thing when something stupid and cruel hits you at the same time. They thought I would cry. They thought I would beg. They forgot I'm a Navy logistics officer. And more importantly, they forgot whose name was on the master contract for the venue. I didn't respond. Not yet. I set my phone down on the hotel nightstand and leaned back against the headboard. The room was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet you only notice when something inside you just snapped clean in half. I had flown in that morning. 12 hours, 2 connections, and a cab ride that smelled like pine cleaner and regret. 9 months deployed in the Pacific, and this was what I came home to. Not even 24 hours on land and I was already being erased. That part wasn't new. I've been the extra piece in my family for as long as I can remember. The reliable one, the quiet one, the one who doesn't make scenes, the one who pays. My younger sister Brielle was the opposite, always had been. Bright, loud, magnetic. The kind of person who walks into a room and expects it to adjust around her. And it always did, especially in our house. My mom Lorraine built her entire personality around appearances. Not reality, not stability, just appearances. What people think, what things look like from the outside. And Brielle fit that image perfectly. Soft, pretty, social, marketable. I didn't. I joined the Navy at 19, not because I had some dramatic calling. I just needed structure and distance, and a way to stop being the backup plan every time my family ran out of options. Turns out I was good at it. Logistics is about control, timing, knowing where everything is, what it costs, and what happens if something fails. You don't guess, you don't hope. You plan and you always know who signed what, which is probably why my mom called me 6 months ago crying about a wedding she couldn't afford. "Please," she said, "we just need help covering the venue. The rest we can figure out." That was a lie. They had nothing figured out. Brielle wanted a fairy tale wedding, not a normal one, not something reasonable. She wanted Oak Haven Estate. It's the kind of place you see in magazines. White columns, iron gates, acres of perfect grass that nobody is allowed to step on unless they're paying for it. It costs money, real money, $50,000 all in, and my parents were already drowning. Credit cards maxed, second mortgage, late notices they pretended didn't exist. But Brielle had already promised her fiancé's family something big, something impressive. His parents had money, old money, the kind that doesn't talk about it but expects you to keep up. So my mom did what she always does. She called me. She didn't ask if I could afford it. She didn't ask if I wanted to help. She told me what was at stake. "We can't look poor in front of them," she said. "It would ruin everything. Everything." That word again. I had just come off a rotation in the Pacific. Hazard pay stacked up. Months of not spending anything except basic needs. I had the money, so I wired it. $50,000, clean transfer, no delay. But I didn't just hand it over and hope for the best. I'm not stupid. I handled it the way I handle everything. I put my name on it. Venue contract, catering agreement, floral deposit, every major vendor, signed, documented, filed. Primary signatory Kerrigan Hale. Not Brielle, not Lorraine, me. Because I've seen what happens when people treat money like it's imaginary. I wasn't going to lose that kind of cash without protection. At the time, my mom said I was being too formal. Now I was sitting in a hotel room, staring at a message that said I wasn't family. Funny how that works. My phone buzzed again. Another message in the group chat. One of the bridesmaids. A simple, wait what, no response from Brielle. No correction from my mom. Silence is an answer. I've learned that the hard way. I picked up the phone and scrolled through the thread. Photos from earlier that day. Smiling faces, champagne glasses, a fake version of a family that only exists when someone else is paying for it. I didn't feel angry. That surprised me. No heat. No shaking hands. No urge to fire off a paragraph. Just clarity. Clean, sharp, quiet, like a checklist. I reached over, grabbed my laptop, and set it on my knees. The screen lit up the room in that cold blue glow. My reflection stared back at me for a second. Tired, still in my travel clothes. Master agreement, signed copy, payment confirmation. Clause by clause, clean and clear. No emotion, no drama, just terms. I didn't rush. I never do. She doesn't read anything that isn't about her. I scrolled slowly, tracking the details. Dates, names, penalties. Everything aligned exactly the way I remembered. Exactly the way I set it up. Outside, a car passed. Tires on wet pavement, faint, distant. Inside, the only sound was the soft click of my trackpad. I glanced back at my phone. The message was still there. You're out. Only real family belongs. I almost smiled. Not because it was funny, because it simplified things. Now I was looking at the paperwork she forgot existed. And for the first time that night, everything made sense. Hair pulled back too tight. I looked like someone who had just finished a job, which in a way I had. I logged into my secure drive, the one I use for work and anything that actually matters. Folders, dates, contracts, everything exactly where it should be. I opened the Oakhaven estate file. There it was. I read it the same way I would read an operational plan. Line by line, condition by condition. Who holds authority? Who can cancel? What happens if they do? My mother had never read any of this. I knew that. She signs things the way people accept cookies on websites. Fast and without thinking. Brielle definitely hadn't read it. I didn't need to argue. I didn't need to defend myself. I didn't need to explain anything. They had already made the decision for me. All I had to do was follow through. I leaned back again, eyes on the screen, the glow reflecting in the dark window across the room. 3 hours earlier, I had been sitting at a long dinner table watching my mother rewrite reality in front of strangers. I closed the contract file and leaned back, the blue light still sitting in my eyes, and my mind slides straight back to 3 hours earlier. I walked into the restaurant still in my Navy service dress uniform. No time to change. I came straight from base. Flight landed late. I dropped my bag at the hotel, checked the time, and went straight to the rehearsal dinner. I didn't think it would be a problem. That was my first mistake. The place was already full when I stepped in. Soft lighting, pale pink flowers, everything looked curated, like someone spent more time picking napkin shades than planning the actual marriage. Brielle was standing near the center, surrounded by bridesmaids in matching pastel dresses. She saw me. Her smile flickered for half a second. Then it reset, polite, controlled, like I was a coworker she didn't like. Before I could even reach the table, my mom appeared at my side. Fast, too fast. She grabbed my arm and pulled me toward the hallway near the restrooms. "What are you wearing?" she whispered, sharp and tight. I looked down at myself. Clean uniform, pressed, every line straight. "My uniform," I said. Her lips pressed into a thin line. "It's too aggressive," she said. "This is supposed to be soft, elegant. You're throwing off the whole aesthetic." I blinked once. "Let that sit. I came straight from base," I said. "You knew that." She waved her hand like that detail didn't matter. "You could have changed in the car. Or brought something else. This isn't about you, Kerrigan." There it was. I didn't argue. Not yet. I've learned that arguing with my mom is like explaining math to someone who doesn't believe in numbers. "You want me to leave?" I asked. She hesitated, just enough to calculate. "No," she said. "Just stay in the background. Try not to draw attention. Stay in the background." "In my own family." I nodded once. "Got it." She gave me a quick, relieved smile, like a problem had just been managed. Then she walked back out like nothing happened. I followed a few seconds later. The table was long, too long for the number of people there, designed to impress, not to connect. I took a seat near the end, not assigned, just open. Nobody objected. Nobody noticed. Across the table, I saw Brielle leaning into her fiancé, laughing at something small, her hand on his arm. Perfect angle, perfect lighting, everything about her was intentional. I picked up the menu, didn't read it, just something to do with my hands. That's when I noticed her. Eleanor, the groom's mother. You can always tell who holds power in a room. It's not loud, it's quiet. People adjust their posture around them. They listen a little harder. They laugh a little quicker. Eleanor didn't try to stand out. She didn't have to. She sat upright, calm, watching everything, measuring. My mom was sitting right next to her. Of course she was. Dinner started. Small talk, safe topics, weather, travel, how beautiful everything looked. And then my mom started performing. "I just wanted Brielle to have the perfect day," she said, smiling at Eleanor. "We've been planning this for over a year. Arthur nodded beside her. Quiet. Agreeable. Always the same. Eleanor tilted her head slightly. Oakhaven Estate isn't easy to book, she said. It's quite exclusive. My mom leaned in like she was sharing something personal. Oh, we made it happen, she said. When it's your daughter, you do whatever it takes. I didn't move, didn't react, but I heard every word. We covered everything, she added. Venue, catering, flowers. We wanted it to feel special. Covered everything. I took a sip of water, slow, let it pass. This is what she does. Rewrites reality until she believes it. Arthur didn't correct her. He never does. Eleanor gave a small nod, not impressed, just noting. I see, she said. Her eyes moved briefly down the table. They landed on me for half a second, then moved on. I went back to being invisible. Food came. Plates shifted. Conversations split into smaller circles. I stayed quiet, listened, tracked. That's what I'm trained to do. Then came the toast. Brielle stood up, glass in hand. Everyone turned toward her. She looked exactly how she wanted to look. Soft, happy, center of everything. I just want to thank everyone for being here, she started. Her voice was light, practiced. She thanked her friends first, then her bridesmaids, then her fiancé. A long emotional section about how he changed her life. Then my parents. Mom, Dad, I couldn't have done any of this without you, she said, voice catching just enough to feel real. Applause, smiles. I waited. Just a second, just a line. Something simple, nothing came. She moved on, thanked her dog. Actually thanked her dog. Laughter around the table. Still nothing, not even my name. I set my glass down, quietly. No one looked at me. Of course they didn't. The toast ended. More applause, more smiling. Dinner resumed like nothing had happened. Eleanor leaned slightly forward, looking down the table again. This time she didn't look away. You're in the Navy, correct? She asked. Her voice was calm, direct. I nodded. Yes, ma'am. What do you do? Logistics officer, I said. Supply chain operations planning. She seemed genuinely interested. That requires precision, she said. And discipline. It does. I was about to say more. Then my mom cut in. Oh, Kerrigan's always been the different one, she said, laughing lightly. Total tomboy growing up. I stopped talking. She could never really settle down, my mom continued. Couldn't find a husband. So she joined the Navy. A few polite chuckles around the table, like it was a harmless joke. Like I wasn't sitting right there. Eleanor didn't laugh. She just looked at my mom, then back at me. Her expression didn't change much, but something in her eyes sharpened. I didn't respond, didn't defend myself, didn't correct the record, because this wasn't about truth. It was about control, and I could feel mine slipping if I engaged. So I didn't. I pushed my chair back slowly. Excuse me, I said. No one stopped me. I walked out of the dining room and into the hallway. The air felt cooler out there, quieter. I stood near the wall for a second, just breathing, in, out, reset. I've been in worse situations, louder, more chaotic, more dangerous. But this was different. This was clean, personal, deliberate. I rubbed the back of my neck and looked down at the floor, same pattern tile. Repeating, predictable. I like predictable. Behind me I heard heels on the floor, fast, then another set. I didn't turn around right away. I already knew who it was. I keep my eyes on the floor for a second longer, listening to the footsteps get closer, sharper, until they stop right behind me. I turn. Brielle is already staring at me. No smile now, no soft voice, just tight lips and eyes that look like I just embarrassed her in public. My mom stands slightly behind her, arms crossed, watching. What was that? Brielle snaps. Straight to it, no build-up. I blink once. What was what? She lets out a short, irritated laugh. Don't do that, she says. Don't act clueless. You know exactly what you did. I tilt my head slightly. I answered a question. She was talking to you for 5 minutes, Brielle says. 5 minutes. I don't respond. She's my future mother-in-law, she continues. Not yours. I hold her gaze. Steady. I didn't approach her, I say. She asked me about my job. That's the problem, Brielle fires back. You always do this. I let that hang. Do what I ask. You pull focus, she says. Everything becomes about you, your job, your deployments, your trauma, the way she says that word, like it's a prop. Something dramatic you bring out to get attention. I feel something shift, not anger, just distance. I didn't bring it up, I say. But you leaned into it, she says. You made it interesting. I almost smile at that. Made it interesting. Because apparently existing is now a performance. My mom steps in before I can respond. Kerrigan, she says, voice low but sharp, this is Brielle's weekend. Not yours. I nod once. I'm aware. Then act like it, she says. I look at her. Really look. Same tone she used when I was 10 and broke a glass. Same assumption. That I'm the problem. What do you want me to do? I ask. Brielle answers immediately. I want you to stop, she says. Just stop being so much. That lands. Not loud, not dramatic, just direct. Too much. I let out a slow breath. I sat at the end of the table, I say. I didn't speak unless someone spoke to me. And it was still too much, she says. There it is. Nothing I do fixes it. Because the issue isn't behavior. It's presence. My mom steps closer now, lowering her voice like she's about to offer something reasonable. Maybe it's best if you don't come to the ceremony tomorrow, she says. I don't react right away. I just look at her, make sure I heard it correctly. Excuse me, I say. She sighs like I'm being difficult. Just for the ceremony, she says. You can come to the after party. That's more relaxed, less formal, less visible. You're too rigid, Kerrigan, she adds. You make people uncomfortable. I let that sit. Too rigid. I glance past them. My dad is standing about 10 feet away, near the corner, hands in his pockets, looking at the floor, not moving, not saying a word. I hold that image for a second. Then I look back at my mom. People I ask. She hesitates. Just a fraction. Brielle needs a peaceful day, she says instead. Everything needs to feel right. Soft, balanced. Balanced. I nod slowly, and I throw that off, I say. Yes, Brielle says without hesitation. No pause, no guilt, just yes. I study her face. She means it. Completely. This isn't about you being wrong, my mom adds quickly. It's just, you don't fit the tone. The tone, I almost laugh, but I don't. Because now it's clear. This isn't a misunderstanding, it's a decision. They've already decided what I am, where I belong, or don't. I shift my weight slightly, adjust my stance without thinking. Years of training, small movements, controlled. Let me ask you something, I say. My voice is calm, even. Brielle rolls her eyes a little. Would I look directly at her? Are you uninviting the person who paid for the ground you're walking on tomorrow? Silence. For a second, nothing moves. My mom's expression tightens. My dad finally looks up. Brielle stares at me. Then she laughs, not surprised, not uncomfortable, just amused. There it is, she says. Mom said you'd do that. I don't respond. You always do this, she continues. You throw money in people's faces like it makes you important. I keep my voice steady. I didn't bring it up until now. Because you were waiting, she says. Waiting for the moment you could use it. That's not true, but I don't argue. Because it doesn't matter what's true. It matters what she's decided. You can take your charity and leave, she says. Just like that. Clear, final. My mom doesn't stop her. Doesn't correct her. My dad stays where he is. Silent. Again. I look at each of them one at a time. Not long. Just enough. Brielle, confident, certain. My mom. Defensive. Already justifying it in her head. My dad. Avoiding eye contact. Same pattern. Different day. I nod once. That's it. No speech. No explanation. Just acknowledgement. Okay, I say. Brielle crosses her arms, like she expected more. Like she wanted a reaction. She doesn't get one. I turn, walk past them. No one follows. I push through the glass doors and step outside. The air hits me immediately. Cold, clean, real. I take a breath, then another. The parking lot is quiet. A few cars, distant streetlights. Nothing dramatic. I walk to my car. Unlock it. Get in. Close the door. For a second, I just sit there, hands on the wheel. Engine off. I look straight ahead. Then I start the car. The engine hums, low, steady. I pull out of the lot without rushing. No sudden movements, no second thoughts. The road is mostly empty. Just a few headlights passing in the opposite direction. The tires make that soft sound against the asphalt. Constant, predictable. I like that sound. I drive in silence. No music, no calls, nothing. Just the road and the space to think. Not about what they said. That part is already done. I think about structure, about sequence, about cause and effect. They made a decision, now I make mine. By the time I reach the hotel, everything is clear. no confusion, no hesitation, just steps. I go upstairs, unlock the door, and step back into the quiet room. I don't turn on the TV. I don't sit down right away. I set my keys on the table, take off my jacket. And then my phone lights up. 11:42 p.m., a new message, group chat. I already know who it's from before I pick it up. I look at the screen, and there it is. You're out. Only real family belongs. Sent to everyone. Public. Final. I stare at it for a second. Then I set the phone down, because now it's official, and that changes everything. I leave the phone face down on the nightstand and don't touch it again. No reply. No reaction. Just silence. I sit there for a second, letting the words settle, not emotionally, structurally, like I'm placing them into a system where they belong. You're out. Only real family belongs. Clear statement, no ambiguity. Good. Ambiguity slows things down. Clarity makes decisions easier. I shift forward and pull the laptop closer. The screen lights up again, that same cold blue cutting through the dark room. This is the part people don't understand. They think control is about feelings, about staying calm, about not breaking. It's not. Control is about switching frameworks. Right now, I'm not a sister. I'm an officer. Different rules, different priorities. Sisters react. Officers assess. I log into my encrypted drive. Two-step authentication. Clean access. Everything opens exactly where I left it. Organized, indexed, tagged. Because when you deal with operations, you don't wait until something goes wrong to find your paperwork. You prepare for failure before it happens. I open the main folder. Oakhaven Estate. Full package subfolders load in sequence. Venue, catering, floral, transportation. Each one documented. Time-stamped, signed. I start with the venue. Always start with the anchor point. The master contract opens. PDF, 27 pages. I don't skim. I never skim. I read from the top even though I already know what's in it. Names, dates, event details, primary signatory Kerrigan Hale. Not Brielle, not Lorraine, me. I scroll slowly, tracking each clause like I'm reviewing a mission plan. Payment schedule, completed. Liability coverage, active. Access rights, restricted to authorized parties under contract. All clean. Then I reach it. Clause 4B, I stop scrolling, read it once, then again. Cancellation by the primary signatory within 12 hours of the event results in forfeiture of 50% of the total deposit. All services cease immediately upon confirmation. Simple, direct, enforceable, no emotional language, no loopholes, just consequence. I check the timestamp on the contract, signed 6 months ago, processed within 48 hours. Everything legally sound. I lean back slightly, letting the information settle into place. 50% penalty, $25,000. That's the cost. I calculate it without hesitation. $25,000 to walk away clean, to remove my name, my liability, my involvement, to stop funding something I'm no longer allowed to attend. I've spent more on worse decisions. At least this one makes sense. I scroll further down. Termination procedures, notification requirements, authorized communication channels, email confirmation required, verbal acknowledgement recommended but not necessary. Good. I don't need a conversation. I don't need negotiation. I need documentation. I close the contract and open my email. New message. Recipient Sarah Whitmore, venue manager, Oakhaven Estate. I type her name without checking. I remember it. Subject line, formal contract cancellation. Event ID OE7742, clear, professional, no emotion. I start typing. Short sentences. Precise language. No room for interpretation. Ms. Whitmore, I am the primary signatory on the contract for event ID OE7742, scheduled for tomorrow at Oakhaven Estate. I am formally invoking Clause 4B of the agreement, effective immediately upon receipt of this notice. Please confirm cancellation of all services associated with this event. I acknowledge and accept the forfeiture terms outlined in the contract. Attached are a copy of the signed agreement and my identification for verification. Respectfully, Kerrigan Hale. I read it once. No edits needed. I attach the contract. Then my military ID clear scan, front and back. Verification won't be an issue. I don't send it. Not yet. Timing matters. I minimize the window and open a second email. Recipient Catering Company. Same structure, same tone, different details. All services are to be halted pending venue confirmation. No emotion, No explanation, just instruction. Then the florist. Same process. By the time I'm done, I have 3 emails ready. 3 points of failure, all controlled. I sit back and look at the screen. Everything is in place. Now it's just about execution. This is where most people make mistakes. They act too early. They act emotionally. They send the message at midnight because they're angry. And then the other side has time to respond, to adjust, to recover. I don't give them that. I check the contract again. Office hours, Oakhaven Estate Administrative Office opens at 6 a.m. That's when the cancellation becomes active. That's when it gets processed. If I send it too early, it sits in an inbox. If I send it too late, they have time to fix it. I need the window where it's legally binding and operationally disruptive. Minimal reaction time, maximum impact. I glance at the clock on my laptop. 2:17 a.m., too early. I don't rush. I never rush. I close my email and open the contract again, reviewing secondary clauses, contingencies. Force majeure, nothing applies, no escape routes. Everything is exactly as it should be. I stand up, walk to the small coffee machine in the corner and make a cup. Black, no sugar, no distractions. I sit back down and take a sip. The room is still quiet. My phone hasn't buzzed again. I don't check it. There's nothing on that screen that changes what happens next. Time moves slowly when you're waiting on purpose. 3:10, 4:05, 5:12. I don't sleep, not because I'm upset, because this matters. Execution matters. I review the emails again. Check attachments, check names, check spelling, everything clean, no errors. At 5:45, I reopen the venue email, cursor blinking over the send button. I don't click it. Not yet. 15 minutes is enough time for someone to catch it early. I wait. The clock ticks forward. 5:52. 5:56. 5:59. My hand rests on the trackpad, still, steady, the second it turns. 6 a.m. I click send. One message out. No hesitation. I immediately send the second. Then the third. 3 confirmations appear. Delivered. Processed. Irreversible. I sit back. No rush of adrenaline. No satisfaction. Just completion. Task executed. I close the laptop halfway, leaving the screen glowing faintly. Outside, the sky is just starting to lighten. Early morning. Quiet. Somewhere across town, people are waking up, getting ready for a wedding that no longer exists. I take another sip of coffee, set the cup down, and watch the clock move forward, because now it's just a matter of time before they realize what they did. I watch the sent confirmation sit in my inbox for exactly 3 seconds, then I reach for my phone. No hesitation, no second guessing. This part requires voice confirmation. I dial the venue first. It rings twice. Good morning, Oakhaven Estate. This is Sarah. Her voice is calm, professional, still in that early morning tone where nothing has gone wrong yet. This is Lieutenant Kerrigan Hale, I say. Primary signatory for event ID OE7742 scheduled for today. There's a brief pause. I can hear her shifting, probably pulling up the system. Yes, Lieutenant Hale, she says. I see your file. How can I help you this morning? I've sent a formal cancellation notice invoking Clause 4B of the contract, I say. This call is to confirm receipt and execution. Silence. Not long, just long enough. I'm sorry, she says carefully. Did you say cancellation? Yeah. Another pause. Longer this time. Lieutenant Hale, the event is scheduled for today, she says. We are fully staffed and prepared. Are you aware of the forfeiture terms under Clause 4? I am. And you understand that this will result in a 50% loss of your total deposit, I do. There's a shift in her tone now. Less routine, more alert. May I ask if there's been some kind of misunderstanding, she says. We can accommodate last-minute adjustments if needed. There is no misunderstanding, I cut in. Calm, flat. I am formally canceling the event. She exhales quietly. I can hear papers moving on her end. Lieutenant Hale, I do need to inform you that once this is processed, all services will be halted immediately, she says. This includes venue access, vendor coordination, and property entry. That is correct, I say. Another pause. She's trying to make sense of it, trying to find a version of this where it doesn't happen. Is there anyone else authorized on the account we should speak to, she asks. No. Clear, immediate. I am the sole authorized party. Silence again, then more cautiously. We have a bridal party scheduled to arrive at 9 a.m. for preparation. If this cancellation proceeds, they will not be permitted on the property, I am aware. Lieutenant Hale. She says softer now, this is highly unusual. I don't respond to that. No confusion now, no assumption of error, just fact. She clears her throat. Understood, she says. Your cancellation has been received. One call done, I move to the next. Florist. It rings longer this time. Someone answers, voice slightly rushed. Bloom and Vine, this is Kelly. Kerrigan Hale, I say. Then I'm sorry, I have invoked cancellation under the primary contract. I continue. All services are to be halted immediately. You will receive formal notice by email. But we already have the arrangements ready for delivery, she says. The trucks are scheduled. They are not to be dispatched. My tone doesn't change, not louder. Just final, I am the contracting party. This instruction is binding. She hesitates. I need to check with my manager, she says. You're welcome to, I reply. The contract terms will confirm my authority. Another pause, then quieter. Okay, we'll stand by for the email confirmation, thank you, I hang up. 2, next is catering. I already know this one will push back harder. Food costs more, timing is tighter. The phone rings once, twice. Prestige Catering, this is Mark. Kerrigan Hale, I say. Event client for Oakhaven Estate today. Good morning, we're currently loading. The event has been cancelled, I say. Immediate silence, then a sharp inhale. That's not possible, he says. We're fully staffed. Prep started at 4 a.m. I am the primary signatory, I cut in. I have invoked cancellation under the contract. That's a $50,000 pause. Event, he says, voice rising slightly. We can't just you can, I say. And you will. Flat, measured, no room for argument. You will receive formal notice via email. I am aware of the penalty. Silence again, then quieter, controlled. All right, we'll review the documentation. Thank you. I hang up. 3. I check the time. 6:15 a.m., 14 minutes. Completely. I place the phone on the table and close the laptop fully this time. The room feels different now, quieter, lighter, like something unnecessary just got cut out. I stand up and move with purpose. Shower, quick, efficient. Change into civilian clothes. Jeans, plain shirt, nothing that draws attention. Hair tied back. No makeup, no uniform, no expectation. I pull into the diner parking lot at 6:32. Small place, nothing special, exactly what I want. I walk in. Bell over the door rings once. Instead, I give her exactly what she needs. I am willing to lose $25,000 to ensure unauthorized individuals do not trespass on a property rented under my name. That lands hard. I will process it immediately and notify all relevant staff. Please confirm once access is restricted. I will, thank you. I hang up. No goodbye. No extra words. Primary client for the Oakhaven Estate event scheduled today. Oh yes, we're prepping the event has been cancelled, I say. Silence. All services are to be halted. No personnel or equipment are to be dispatched to Oakhaven Estate. He exhales hard. This is going to cost you, he says. That's all it took. $50,000, gone. Not wasted, reallocated. Controlled loss. I sit there for a second, phone still in my hand. No shaking, no regret, just completion. This is what people don't understand about decisions like this. It's not about anger, it's about alignment. They made it clear I don't belong. I removed myself from the system. I grab my keys and head out. The hallway is empty. Elevator ride down is silent. The lobby smells like cheap coffee and air freshener. Outside, the morning is cool. Normal, completely normal. I get in my car and start driving. 3 miles to the diner. I picked it earlier. Close enough to observe, far enough to stay out of it. The road is still mostly empty. A few early commuters, delivery trucks, no wedding traffic yet. A waitress looks up, gives a quick nod. Sit anywhere. I slide into a booth by the window. Clear view of the road leading toward Oakhaven. Perfect. Menu sits in front of me. Laminated, slightly worn. I don't need to read it. Coffee, the waitress asks. Black, I say, and food pancakes. She nods and walks off. Simple, no complications. I lean back slightly and rest my hands on the table. The window reflects a faint version of me, different from earlier, not softer, just resolved. The coffee comes first. I wrap my hands around the mug. Warm, steady. I take a sip. And right as the cup touches the table again, the bell over the diner door chimes behind me. Somebody walks in. Another normal morning. Somewhere else at exactly 9 a.m., a stretch Hummer limo is pulling up to a set of locked iron gates. I take another slow sip of coffee and keep my eyes on the road, the second hand on the diner clock ticking in steady, predictable beats. 9 a.m. comes and goes without anything visible from where I'm sitting, but I don't need to see it. I already know exactly what it looks like. I hear about it later, not from them. They don't call to explain. They call to scream. But the details piece themselves together easily. A stretch Hummer limo pulls up to the front gates of Oakhaven Estate right on schedule. White, polished, over the top. Inside, Brielle is sitting in the middle surrounded by 6 bridesmaids in matching pastel dresses. Hair half done, makeup bags open. Someone is holding a champagne bottle they're not supposed to open yet. My mom is in the front seat talking nonstop, probably giving last-minute instructions, probably reminding everyone how important today is. The gates are closed. That's normal at first. They're usually opened by staff when the party arrives, so the driver pulls forward, stops, waits. Nothing happens. 30 seconds, a minute, still nothing. My mom leans forward, annoyed already. "Why aren't they opening the gate?" she says. The driver shrugs, rolls the window down slightly, looks toward the guard station. That's when the security guard steps out, clipboard in hand, calm, not rushed. He walks up to the driver's side window. My mom doesn't wait. "We're the bridal party," she says immediately. "We have access." The guard nods politely. "Ma'am, I'll just need to verify your booking." He looks down at his clipboard, runs a finger down the page, stops, looks back up. "I'm sorry," he says. "There is no active event scheduled for today." That's the moment it starts to crack. "What are you talking about?" my mom snaps. "Of course there is. This is a $50,000 wedding." The guard doesn't react to the number. He checks again, then speaks steady. "The primary leaseholder, Lieutenant Kerrigan Hale, canceled the event at 0600 hours. The property is closed." Silence, just for a second. Then everything hits at once. What Brielle says from the back. My mom leans forward harder now, voice rising. "That's not possible," she says. "There must be a mistake." "There is no mistake." "Ma'am," the guard replies, "we received official cancellation and confirmation this morning." Behind her, the bridesmaids start talking over each other. "What does that mean? Is this a joke? Did something happen?" Brielle pushes forward in her seat. "No," she says. No, this isn't happening." She grabs her phone. That's when my phone starts vibrating on the diner table. I glance down. Brielle. I don't pick it up. It stops, then starts again. And again. 3 calls, 5, 10. I let it ring. I take another bite of pancakes. Chew slowly. The diner is quiet. Someone behind me is talking about traffic. The waitress is refilling coffee at another table. Normal morning. My phone lights up again. 15 missed calls. Now my mom is calling. I ignore that too. Back at the gate, I can already picture it. My mom stepping out of the limo now. Heels hitting pavement too hard. Walking straight up to the guard. "I am the mother of the bride," she says, like that changes anything. "You need to open this gate." The guard stays calm. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I don't have authorization to do that." "You don't understand," she says. "We paid for this venue." That word again. Paid. The guard doesn't argue. He just looks at the clipboard. The contract holder canceled the event, he repeats. Without an active contract, no one is permitted on the property. Brielle is out of the limo now too. Dress bag half open, hair unfinished. "What did she do?" she says louder now. "What did she do?" My phone vibrates again. 20 calls. I watch the second hand on the clock. Tick, tick, tick. I let it go a little longer, not to punish, just to let it settle, to make sure there's no confusion about what's happening. Finally, I pick up. I don't say anything right away. I just listen. "What did you do?" Brielle screams. Her voice is sharp, high, breaking. The gates are locked. They're saying the event is canceled. "What did you do?" I hold the phone a few inches from my ear. Let her finish. Let the panic come through. Then I bring it back. My voice is steady, flat, controlled. "You texted me that only real family belongs at your wedding," I say. She doesn't respond. Maybe she wasn't expecting me to be calm. Maybe she thought I'd match her energy. I don't. Real family can pay for their own venue, I continue. Silence on her end now. Just breathing. Fast, uneven. "Have a beautiful day, Brielle." I hang up. No hesitation, no follow-up, just a clean cut. I set the phone back down on the table, face up this time. It starts ringing again almost immediately. I don't touch it. I take another sip of coffee. Still warm, still steady, Somewhere across town, the dial tone is still echoing in her ear. And for the first time, she understands what silence actually means. Not absence, finality. At the gates, everything is breaking apart. My mom is talking too fast now, words stacking on top of each other, trying to fix something that doesn't have a quick fix. There has to be a way, she's saying. We have guests. We have a schedule. But there's nothing to negotiate. No contract, no access, no event, just consequences. And now the clock is working against them. 3 hours. That's all they have before guests start arriving. 150 people, including a family that expects perfection, money, status, control, all the things my mom tried to fake. Now she has to produce it. Fast. And for once, she can't call me to fix it. I slide my plate slightly to the side and watch the road as another car passes steady and uneventful, while somewhere across town, everything starts to fall apart faster than they can react. They don't have time to think. That's the problem. Panic doesn't leave room for strategy. It forces decisions. Fast ones. Bad ones. My mom makes the first call within minutes of hanging up with me, not to apologize, not to fix anything with me. She goes straight into damage control. She calls my dad, then a cousin, then anyone who might have an idea. They don't have access to another private venue. Not on a few hours' notice, not at that price point, not with that guest list. So they settle. Public Park Pavilion. 10 minutes from the house. It's not booked. It's not prepared. It's just available. That's the new standard. Available by the time they get there. Yet, it's already too late to make it look like anything else. The grass is uneven, slightly wet from early morning watering, dirt patches showing through in spots that don't photograph well. The pavilion itself is basic. Wooden beams, faded paint. A couple of metal tables bolted to the ground. No chairs set up, no aisle, no flowers, no staff. Just space, empty space. My dad drives ahead, probably with his hands gripping the wheel too tight, trying to think of something useful for once. He stops at a grocery store on the way. No catering trucks are coming, no plated meals, no polished servers, just whatever is left on the shelves at 9 in the morning, sandwich platters, plastic trays, pre-cut fruit that's already starting to dry at the edges. Bottled water, maybe a few cheap pastries. He buys all of it, throws it in the back of the car. That's the reception now. That's the perfect day. Back at the park, my mom is moving fast, too fast, trying to organize something out of nothing. Set the table, she's saying. Just put everything out. Make it look presentable. The bridesmaids are confused, still in half-finished hair and makeup, dresses wrinkled from sitting too long in the limo. Nobody knows what they're doing, because this wasn't supposed to happen. This wasn't in the plan. Brielle is standing off to the side, still in her dress, still trying to hold on to the version of the day she imagined. But it's slipping, every second, and there's nothing she can do about it. The first guests start arriving early. Of course they do. People like to be early for events like this. They expect something polished, something impressive. They pull up in nice cars, step out, and stop. Because what they see doesn't match what they were told. No estate, no gates, no staff guiding them. Just a public park. And a setup that looks like someone forgot to finish. They start whispering, quiet at first, then louder. What is this? I thought this was at Oakhaven. Is this temporary? My mom hears it. She forces a smile. Walks over. Just a small change of plans, she says. Minor issue with the venue. Minor, that word again. Then the real test arrives. Black sedan, clean, expensive. Followed by another and another, the groom's family. They step out one by one, dressed perfectly, composed, expecting something that reflects their status. Eleanor steps out last. Same posture, same quiet control. She looks around, doesn't rush, doesn't speak right away, just observes. That's worse. She takes in the muddy ground, the uneven setup, the plastic trays of grocery store food, the absence of everything she was promised. Then she walks toward my mom, not fast, not slow, just direct. You told me you paid $50,000 for Oakhaven Estate, she says. Her voice is calm, too calm. What is this? My mom doesn't answer right away. She smiles, that same smile she uses when she thinks she can still fix it. There was a plumbing emergency, she says, completely unexpected. They had to shut everything down this morning. Plumbing emergency, that's the story. Quick, simple, not verifiable in the moment. For a second, it almost works. Almost. Then someone speaks up. One of the bridesmaids, young, nervous, still holding her phone. She's been reading the group chat, trying to understand. And she says it before she realizes she shouldn't. Kerrigan canceled it, she blurts out. Because Brielle kicked her out. Silence. Immediate. Heavy. You can feel it shift. The air changes. My mom freezes. Brielle turns eyes wide. Why would you say that, she snaps? But it's too late. The words are out, and Eleanor heard them. Of course she did. Her expression doesn't explode. It tightens, subtle, controlled, but sharp. She looks at my mom, then at Brielle, then back at my mom. Is that true, she asks. No raised voice, no anger, just expectation. My mom tries to recover. That's not, she's exaggerating, but Eleanor doesn't interrupt. She just watches, waiting, measuring. And in that moment, everything lines up. The lies, the money, the performance. She sees it, all of it. Not just that they didn't pay, but that they pretended to. That they built this entire image on something that wasn't theirs. And worse, that they pushed out the person who made it possible. Her eyes move to Brielle again. Different now. Not warm, not approving, assessing, calculating. This is the family her son is marrying into. This is the reality behind the presentation. And it doesn't match. Not even close. Around them, guests are watching, whispering. Phones out, not filming, but close. Close enough. This isn't private anymore. It's public. Completely. My mom tries again. Let's just focus on the ceremony, she says. Voice tighter now. We can explain everything later, but there is no later. Not for something like this. First impressions don't reset. They stick. And this one just got burned in. Brielle stands there dressed perfect, setting ruined. Center of attention. Just not the way she wanted. The golden child, now exposed. No filter, no stage, just reality. Back at the diner, I finish my coffee. The cup is empty. The plate is cleared. I reach for my wallet and place cash on the table. No rush, no lingering, just done. I stand up, grab my keys, and walk out. The bell above the door chimes again. Same sound as before. Nothing has changed here. Everything has changed there. I get in my car and start the engine. No messages checked. No calls returned. There's nothing left to say. I pull out onto the road and head back toward base. Clean, quiet, resolved. Behind me, 150 people are watching a story fall apart in real time. And for once, I'm not in it. I'm halfway through a supply report when my phone buzzes on the desk. 2 weeks later, same number. I let it ring twice before I look at the screen. Dad. I don't answer right away. Not because I'm thinking about it. Just finishing the line I'm on. Numbers first, then everything else. I tap save, close the file, and then pick up. Yeah, I say. No greeting, no softness. There's a pause on the other end, like he expected something different. Hey, he says. It's me. I know. Another pause. I can hear background noise. TV maybe? Or just something to fill the silence. So he says, clearing his throat, things have been a little complicated here. I don't respond. He keeps going. The wedding happened, he says. It was smaller than planned. Smaller. That's one way to put it. I lean back in my chair, eyes on the ceiling. How's Brielle, I ask. Neutral, no edge. He hesitates. She's adjusting, he says. His family is different than we expected. I almost smile at that. Different, that's polite? From what I've heard, Eleanor didn't raise her voice once. She didn't need to. She just told the truth, calm, direct, in the right rooms, to the right people. And in a town like ours, that's enough. Now everyone knows about the debt, about the lie, about who actually paid. My mom can't walk into a grocery store without someone recognizing her. Not in a good way. Not admiration, curiosity, judgment. That quiet kind that sticks. The kind she cares about most. How's Mom, I ask. He exhales. She's taking it hard, he says. People talk, I don't say anything. Because yes, I do know. I've been listening to it my whole life. Just from a different angle. He shifts again. So listen, he says. Voice tightening slightly. We're dealing with some financial fallout from everything. There it is. Right on schedule. No apology, no acknowledgement. Just the problem. What kind of fallout, I ask. Well, the cancellation fees, some of the vendor penalties, deposits that didn't transfer, he says. It adds up. I let him list it out. Like I don't already know the numbers. like I didn't calculate them before I even clicked send. And we were wondering, he continues, if maybe you could help us cover some of it. Of course, that's the call. Not are you okay? Not we messed up. Just can you fix this too? I sit up straighter now. Not tense, just present. How much I ask. He hesitates. Roughly 20,000, he says. Maybe a little more depending on how things settle. I nod once, even though he can't see it. Okay, I say. There's a small shift in his tone. Relief. Too early. I figured you might be able to. You stood in the hallway and watched them erase me, I say. I don't raise my voice. I don't rush. I just say it. Clean, direct. Silence. He doesn't interrupt. Doesn't defend himself. Because there's nothing to say. I asked one question, I continue. One. And you didn't answer. You just stood there. I let that sit. Then I finish it. I paid $25,000 in penalties, I say. Just to buy my freedom from this family. Another pause. Longer this time. It was worth every penny. That lands. Harder than anything else I've said. Because it's true. No anger, no exaggeration, just value. He exhales slowly. Kerrigan, we're still your family, he says. I shake my head slightly, even though he can't see it. No, I say. You're people I used to take responsibility for. Silence again, different this time. He's not looking for words. He's realizing there aren't any. I'm not sending you money, I say. Clear, final, and I'm not doing this again. I pull the phone away slightly, not dramatically, just enough. I hope you figure it out, I add. Then I hang up. No goodbye, no second chance. I hold the phone for a second longer, then I block the number. Not out of anger, out of clarity. That door is closed, locked, and I'm the one who closed it. I set the phone down and look around the room. Same desk, same reports, same structure, everything where it should be. Later that day, I'm out on the deck with the rest of my unit. Wind coming off the water. Strong, clean, someone's laughing behind me. Another officer arguing about something pointless, normal, real. No one here cares about appearances. No one here needs me to fund their life to accept me. They care if I show up, if I do my job, if I have their back. And they have mine. That's it. No hidden conditions, no quiet exclusions. I lean against the railing and look out at the horizon. Flat line, clear view, no noise. No distortion, just distance and space. I think about the last 2 weeks. Not the chaos, not the calls, just the shift. The moment everything stopped being complicated. Because it wasn't, it was simple. They showed me exactly where I stood. And I adjusted, that's all. People like to make boundaries sound dramatic, like you're cutting something off, like you're losing something. That's not what it is. It's just deciding what you're no longer responsible for, and acting accordingly. I take a breath, slow, steady, then I turn slightly looking back toward the others. Someone waves me over. I nod and push off the railing, and before I walk back, I think about one thing. If someone is only kind to you when you're useful, that's not family, that's a transaction. And you don't owe anyone unlimited credit. Loyalty is earned, not extracted. If you're bleeding yourself dry to fund a family that hides you in the shadows, stop paying for the privilege of being abused. Drop a comment if you've ever had to financially cut off toxic relatives. Subscribe for more stories. And remember this. Boundaries aren't walls, they're doors. You hold the key. I didn't think the hardest part would come after everything was over. Not the cancellation, not the phone call, not even the silence that followed. It was what came after. The quiet, the space, the part where I had to sit with what actually happened and what it meant. Because when you strip everything down, this wasn't really about a wedding. It wasn't about money either. It was about definition, what family actually means. And more importantly, what it doesn't. I used to think family was automatic. Something you're born into. Something that stays no matter what. You show up, you help, you give, you adjust. That's the deal. That's what I was taught. But nobody ever explained what happens when that deal only goes one way. Nobody tells you what to do when you're the only one holding it together. I was the one they called when something went wrong, not when something went right. I was the one who fixed problems, covered gaps, handled the part nobody else wanted to deal with. And I told myself that meant I mattered, that it meant I was important to them. But that wasn't what it meant. It meant I was useful. There's a difference. And it took me a long time to see it. Because when you're raised to be the responsible one, You don't question the role. You just get better at it. You learn to anticipate needs before anyone asks. You learn to solve problems before they become visible. You learn to stay quiet so things don't escalate. And over time, you become the person everyone depends on, without ever becoming the person anyone protects. That's the part people don't talk about. Being needed isn't the same as being valued. I thought paying for that wedding would make things different, not in a dramatic way. I wasn't expecting praise. I wasn't expecting a speech. I just thought it would count, that it would shift something, even a little, but it didn't. Because the system didn't change. The roles stayed the same. Brielle was still the center. My mom was still managing appearances. My dad was still avoiding conflict. And I was still the backup plan, the funding source, the person you call when you need something expensive to go away. So when they told me I didn't belong, it wasn't a sudden change. It was just the first time they said it out loud. And that matters. Because once something is said clearly, you don't get to pretend anymore. You don't get to soften it. You don't get to explain it away. You either accept it or you act on it. I chose to act, not out of anger, out of alignment. They made it clear I wasn't part of the family they wanted to present. So I stopped supporting it, that's all. And here's the part most people don't like hearing. If you are always the one being called when money is needed, but never when joy is shared, you are not part of the family. You are part of the budget. And budgets get adjusted, cut, replaced. That's how they're treated. That's how you're being treated. I didn't see that for a long time, because I confused sacrifice with connection. I thought the more I gave, the stronger the bond would be. But that's not how it works. Giving doesn't create respect, especially not in a system that's already decided your role. In fact, sometimes it does the opposite. It reinforces the idea that you'll always be there to absorb the cost, financial or otherwise. And once people get used to that, they don't question it, they expect it. That's why the reaction at the venue wasn't confusion, it was shock. Not because something went wrong, but because I didn't fix it. For the first time, I wasn't there to clean it up. I wasn't there to step in. I wasn't there at all. And suddenly, everything collapsed under its own weight. That's not revenge, that's exposure. And there's a difference. I didn't create the problem. I removed the support system that was hiding it. That's what made it visible. That's what made it real. And once it's real, people have to deal with it. Or walk away. That part isn't your responsibility. And this is where most people get stuck. They feel guilty, like they caused the outcome, like they should have handled it differently, smoothed it over, taken the loss quietly. I used to think like that. I used to believe that keeping the peace was more important than being respected. But peace without respect isn't peace. It's control. It's silence. And it always comes at your expense. So here's what I learned. Family is not defined by who shows up when things look good. That's clarity. And clarity changes everything. Because once you stop trying to earn your place in a system that doesn't value you, you realize something simple. You were never supposed to fight that hard just to belong. Not there. Not like that. And once you understand that, you stop asking for permission to step away. You just do it. I didn't realize the exact moment things changed until a few days later. Not during the phone call. Not when I hit send on the cancellation. It was quieter than that. I was sitting alone going through my accounts, reviewing everything the same way I always do. Clean numbers, clear records, no surprises. And that's when it hit me. Not what they did. What I allowed. That's the part that's harder to face. Because it's easy to point at someone else and say they crossed a line. It's harder to admit you kept redrawing that line so they wouldn't have to stop. It's defined by who stands next to you when it's inconvenient, when it's uncomfortable, when it costs them something, not just financially, emotionally, socially, personally. If someone only claims you when it benefits them, they're not choosing you, they're using you. And once you see that clearly, you don't need to argue about it. You don't need to prove anything. You just adjust your position, you step back, you remove access, and you let the structure show what it really is without you holding it up. That's not betrayal. I wasn't just helping, I was maintaining a system that didn't respect me. Every time I stepped in, every time I covered a gap, every time I said yes when I should have paused, I made it easier for them to keep treating me the same way. That's not blame, that's ownership. There's a difference, because once you see your role clearly, you also see your leverage. And that's where things shift. People think leverage is about power over others. It's not. It's about control over your own participation. What you allow, what you fund, what you show up for, and more importantly, what you don't. For a long time, I thought saying no would create conflict, that it would make things worse, that it would break something. But the truth is the conflict was already there. It was just one-sided. I was absorbing it, quietly, consistently, and calling it being the bigger person. That phrase gets used a lot, usually by the people benefiting from your silence. Being the bigger person doesn't mean making yourself smaller so other people can stay comfortable. It doesn't mean paying for things you're not respected in. It doesn't mean showing up where you're not wanted just to keep things smooth. That's not maturity. That's self-erasure. And I got good at it, too good. I knew how to keep things calm, how to avoid escalation, how to take the hit and move on. Because in my head, that was strength. But strength isn't how much you can tamel. It's how clearly you can decide when enough is enough, and then act on it. That's the part people skip. They recognize the problem, they talk about it, they vent. But they don't change their behavior, because change feels like risk. It feels like loss. Like if you stop doing what you've always done, something will fall apart. And sometimes it does. But here's what I learned. If the only thing holding a relationship together is your willingness to tolerate disrespect, then it's already broken. You're just the one keeping it upright. And that's exhausting. It drains you in ways that don't show up immediately. You don't notice it day to day. But over time, it adds up. Resentment, frustration, distance, until one moment forces you to see it clearly. For me, it was that hallway. Not because of what they said, but because of what I realized. Nothing I did was going to change how they saw me. Not more money, not more effort, not more understanding. The role was fixed. And I had been trying to earn my way out of it. That's not how it works. You don't earn your way out of a system that benefits from keeping you in place. You exit it. That's it. That's the move. And the moment I understood that, everything got simpler. Not easier, but clearer. I stopped asking questions like, what can I do differently? And started asking, why am I still doing this at all? That question changes everything, because it puts the focus back where it belongs, on you, not them, not their behavior, not their expectations, yours. And once you answer it honestly, the next step becomes obvious. You stop participating. That's what I did. I didn't argue. I didn't negotiate. I didn't try to get them to understand. I just stopped. Stopped funding, stopped fixing, stopped showing up in the same way. And yes, there was a reaction. There always is. People don't like it when you change a dynamic that benefits them. They call you cold, difficult, selfish. That's predictable. What's not predictable is how quickly things fall apart without your support. That's when you see the structure for what it really is. And that's when the guilt tries to come in. It's subtle. It sounds reasonable. You could have handled it differently. You didn't have to go that far. They're still your family. I heard all of it. Not always from them. Sometimes from my own head. Because when you've been conditioned to take responsibility for everything, letting go feels wrong at first. But here's the truth. Guilt is not a reliable indicator of wrongdoing. Sometimes it's just a reaction to doing something unfamiliar, something that goes against the role you've been playing. And that's okay. You don't need to eliminate the guilt to move forward. You just need to recognize it for what it is, a habit, not a fact. And once you separate those two, you stop letting it control your decisions. You start making choices based on reality, not obligation, not expectation, just reality. In my case, the reality was simple. They didn't want me there. So I removed everything that made my presence necessary, clean, direct, final. And for the first time, I wasn't waiting for them to adjust. I already had. I didn't wake up the next day feeling lighter. That's the part people expect. Like once you draw a line, everything just fixes itself. It doesn't work like that. It's quieter, more controlled, less chaos, but also less noise to hide behind. You actually have to sit with your decisions. And for me, that meant figuring out what changes and what stays the same. Because cutting something off is one thing, replacing the pattern is another. That's where most people slip. They set a boundary, once then go right back to explaining it, defending it, adjusting it, until it's not a boundary anymore, just a suggestion. And suggestions get ignored, so I had to get clear on something simple. Boundaries are not what you say. They are what you enforce. That's it. Not how you explain them, not how fair they sound, not how much sense they make to the other person. What matters is what happens next, what you actually do. For me, it started with money. That was the easiest place to see the pattern. I had been the one who stepped in every time there was a gap. Big or small, didn't matter. If something needed to be covered, I handled it. Quietly, efficiently, no discussion. That stopped, not gradually, immediately. No more transfers. No more just this once. No more emergency fixes. If something came up, it wasn't mine to solve. Simple. And yes, that changed how people saw me. I heard it. Through other relatives, through indirect messages. She's changed. She's become cold. She thinks she's better than everyone. That's fine. People who benefit from your lack of boundaries will always see your boundaries as a problem. That's not feedback. That's resistance. So I didn't respond, because I didn't need to. The boundary wasn't a conversation. It was a decision. Next was presence, where I show up, and where I don't. This one matters more than people think, because showing up sends a message. It tells people what you're willing to tolerate, what you're willing to be part of. And for a long time, I showed up everywhere. Family dinners, events, situations where I knew exactly how it would go. I'd be polite. They'd be dismissive. I'd stay anyway, not anymore. If I'm not respected in a space, I don't enter it. No explanation, no announcement. I just don't go. And if someone asks why, the answer is simple. That doesn't work for me, that's it. No follow-up, no long justification. Because the more you explain, the more you invite negotiation. And boundaries are not negotiations. They're limits. The third one was communication. This one took the most adjustment, because I used to over-explain everything, every decision, every choice, trying to make it make sense to other people, trying to avoid being misunderstood. That stopped too. Now I say things once, clearly, directly, without extra layers, and then I act accordingly. If someone ignores it, I don't repeat myself louder. I adjust my behavior. That's the enforcement. That's what makes it real. And here's something most people don't realize. You don't need everyone to agree with your boundary for it to be valid. You just need to follow through on it. Consistency is what gives it weight, not approval, because approval can be withdrawn. Consistency can't. Now, does this come with consequences? Yes, always. Some people pull away. Some people get louder. Some try to test the limit. Push it. See if you'll bend. That's normal. That's part of the process. Because when you change the rules, people who are comfortable with the old ones will try to bring you back. Not because they're evil, because it worked for them. And now it doesn't. That's not your problem. That's their adjustment. And here's the part that matters. If someone disappears when you stop overextending yourself, they were never there for you. They were there for access to your time, your energy, your money, your compliance. And once that access is gone, so are they. That's not loss. That's clarity. I lost $25,000. That's the number people focus on. But that's not what I think about. What I gained matters more. I gained control over my decisions, over my resources, over my presence. And once you have that, everything else shifts. You stop reacting, you start choosing. And those choices build a different kind of life. One where you're not constantly adjusting yourself to fit into places that don't value you. One where your time isn't spent maintaining relationships that drain you. One where respect is the baseline, not something you earn through sacrifice. So if you're watching this and something in this story feels familiar, pay attention to that. Not the drama, not the outcome, the pattern. Ask yourself one question. Where am I still participating in something that doesn't respect me? Be honest. That answer tells you exactly where your boundary needs to go. And when you set it, keep it simple. You don't need a speech. You don't need permission. You just need consistency. Because once you enforce it, everything else adjusts around it. Some people will leave. Let them. Some people will get uncomfortable. That's fine. Comfort isn't the goal. Clarity is. And once you have that, you don't go back. Not because you can't, because you don't want to. If this story made you look at your own situation a little differently, say something. I read those. And if you want more stories like this, real ones, not polished versions, subscribe. Because the truth is simple. Not everyone you call family deserves access to you, but you always get to decide who does.